Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
I named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my man who knows how to write with a ballpoint banana. It's Frank. How are you today?
I am doing just fine. Just fine, considering the Sharks.
Oh, well, they explode. You know that, right?
I have learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
I assume you're talking about just like the summer beach sharks, not.
Oh, yeah.
Not, which don't explode, but some sharks do.
Yes, some do. And really, above all, I appreciate the nobility of the almost human porpoise.
It's really the porpoise that saves you. You could talk about shark repellent bat spray all you want, Frank, but you know that it's the nobility of the porpoise that really saves your butt from time to time.
That is absolutely correct. I have long felt that way.
Indeed. Sometimes I feel that a good tasty beer saves my life, Frank. Can you speak about which one you're drinking this evening?
Yeah. I'm enjoying a good old Left Hand Nitro Milk Stout. It is.
Oh, you love your milk stouts in the middle of the warm weather.
I love a milk stout. Yeah, my I think I told you this off mic last week. But yes, my wife went to the supermarket, came back, she wanted to grab me a beer, and she said, "I didn't really know what you would like from what they had, but I know that you weirdly like to drink stouts even in the summer, so here you go." Yeah, so there you go. And weirdly, this one is still in St. Patrick's Day packaging, which I guess that was what they still had on the shelves for some reason. But yeah.
Yeah, you're maybe smart to drink that one quickly. Then.
Yeah. This is the last one of the bunch. But this is, I gotta say, this is one of my absolute favorite stouts. Like it's a go-to for me because the nitro factor makes it nice and smooth, and it's got this really nice, and it's a milk stout beside, so it's smooth from that, and it's kind of got a mocha sort of flavor to it. I love it. It's one of my favorites. So, Left Hand Nitro Milk Stout. Love it. What are you drinking?
Well, you'll be happy to know that I finally ran out of all the beer that I've been drinking for the past gosh knows how many weeks. And so I went to a new liquor store, and I was like, let's see what they have available. And they had sections and sections of sections that were like, you pick six is good. Let's do that. Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is where I gain all my money back. All right, here we go. So I did. So I got 12 different beers. So I got a whole summer of different beer ahead of me. And so right today, the first one, I am drinking a Pickleodeon, which is a cucumber gose ale from the Foolproof Brewing Company.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I went all. I mean, I've been drinking the same thing for so long that I'm like, I need new things.
It was time to change things up, and it sounds like you really changed it up. So Pickleodeon from Foolproof. Okay, this is
a Foolproof is in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, which is relatively near me. If I'm living in Texas, it's really close to me. If I'm living in Rhode Island, it's like kind of close to me, but maybe it's too long of a trip,
Sure.
Like that's, yeah. So it is, I mean, it's a Gose, so it's very light. It's a 5%. So it is really not huge, but it basically tastes like cucumber juice.
Yeah, it's a cucumber Gose. I've never. That's an interesting combination of like a sour with a.
It's not really sour. It's really it leans more heavily into the cucumber.
Okay.
but it feels or it tastes like a beer that I would have at brunch. It's like, oh, you having a mimosa? Oh, you're having a Bloody Mary? Give me the Pickleodeon.
Gotcha.
Like that's what it tastes like to me, and it is delish.
So it's called Pickleodeon, but it's cucumber. So does it taste like pickled cucumber, or does it taste like fresh cucumber?
When you say pickled cucumber,
pickles.
You mean just pickles?
Right. But
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Mm. It does kind of taste like. It tastes like fresh pickled cucumbers.
Okay.
So fresh pickles. Like I'm like homemade, or I got these at the farm stand.
Sure.
And they're like barely pickles. They're mostly cucumbers. That's what it tastes like.
Got it. So okay. I guess that makes sense because a Gose is a sour ale usually. So I guess the sourness from the beer and then the freshness from the cucumber probably nets out in this. And from what you're saying, it sounds like it's mostly cucumber. So.
Correct. Yeah, and you're right though. It kind of the sour of the Gose and then the freshness of the cucumber kind of net together and create a slight picklish beer.
Interesting.
I love it. It's really good. I've never had it before. If you're not into cucumbers or pickles, then I definitely would not recommend it because it definitely tastes like it declares. You know how sometimes you get a beer and it's like chocolate this and it's not tasting like there's nothing chocolate about this.
Yes.
Yeah. This is definitely as advertised.
Got it. Wow. I am intrigued, and I'm going to see if I can find this.
Yeah. I don't know how far up or I don't know where, how far Foolproof goes from its homestead. So I don't know if you can get it.
We'll find out.
I don't know if you can get it in New Hampshire.
We'll see.
Yeah, you will have to find out. But yes, I do recommend it. If you don't like sour things, but you like pickles or cucumbers, fear not, it's not very sour.
Okay.
Like if I didn't know that Goses were supposed to be sour, I wouldn't even know.
Got it. Okay.
That's how unsour it is.
Well, I'm definitely interested, and so I will see if I can. I'll see if I can't find it anywhere. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Not just pickles. We're here to talk about penguins.
Oh yeah, no, we're here to talk about penguin specifically, Frank.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. No, Frank, I had this idea. What if we said we love segments or we love series in Beer with Geeks, right? So what new series can we do? We love superheroes. We like movies. We like superhero movies together, but we also love chronological order, Frank. So what if we went back in time? What if we went back in time and we call the segment Superhero Slapback, and we go back and look at and we watch every superhero movie. Some we can skip if we want to, because why the heck not? It's our segment, it's our show. We do what we want. Sorry, Steel with Shaq. I don't know. I don't know.
Based on what's happening on TV these days, we might want to watch Steel.
I do kind of want to watch it. Yeah. So we have to be a little judicious about what counts as a superhero movie and what doesn't, because could you count RoboCop as a superhero movie? Probably, but it's not really, it's not really a superhero.
Interesting.
He's a police officer. So, which is different. So we're going to have to play with the rules a little bit. But Superhero Slapback, we're going back in time. And we're going to start with Batman 66, starring Adam West and Burt Ward. I thought about going all the way back to the serials, or Superman versus the Mole Man or something like that.
Yeah.
But then again, we get into what counts as a superhero movie.
Right.
Do you count TV movies? Because then we have to watch Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., starring David Hasselhoff.
Ugh. Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah,
then we gotta watch Japanese Spider-Man. Then that's just there's just too much.
we're getting it gets a little. Then it's just you're just covering every piece of superhero content that's ever come out,
right?
And so when I say we're just going to be judicious about this, we're going to pick and choose what we want, but we'll cover the big ones. But if anybody wants us to actually cover one specifically, make sure to tweet at us at Beer with Geeks on Twitter, or write in at beerwithgeeks@gmail.com, and we will make sure to cover that movie, because yes, indeed, I will make Frank watch the Matt Salinger Captain America from 1990, because that was released in theaters, and that one counts. That's superhero fare.
Are we going to do the Roger Corman Fantastic Four? Because I want to do the Roger. Let's do it. I want to do that.
We totally can.
I want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's count. We have to watch the bad stuff to appreciate the good stuff.
That's right.
That's
right.
Because the part of watching movies chronologically is to really see where you've been to appreciate where you are now. Right. And I just don't think you can appreciate Avengers Endgame without watching Roger Corman's Fantastic Four or the Salinger Captain America, or in some ways, yeah. Oh, see now. So like, if we go back to TV movies, this is interesting. Do we cover the Lou Ferrigno Hulk movies? Because after the Hulk TV series, there were a couple of TV movies. So where it had Thor played by oh my gosh, what's his name? The guy who played Kingpin. The guy who played Kingpin in Daredevil.
D'Onofrio?
Not Michael. Yeah, D'Onofrio.
He played Thor?
Yeah, he played Thor in the TV movie. Are you
serious? I didn't know about this.
Yep. Yeah, he was bulked. He was jacked. And John Rhys Davies actually played the Kingpin in another one. And so and so that was supposed to be a Daredevil spinoff, but he's in like the all black suit without the DD. So you're looking at D'Onofrio.
I am. I used my one lookup because I needed to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. That's wild.
See, it is wild. So again, we'll pick and choose. Maybe we'll just pick one of those, or you know what, you can watch that one and I'll watch the Daredevil one, and like whatever. That's all stuff off mic that we can talk about at a different time. Let's talk about Batman 66. So this was a movie that was supposed to come out before the first season of Batman the show on TV, but they like messed up the scheduling or something happened, and it ended up getting released between seasons 1 and 2. And it was in theaters. Neither Frank and I were alive to watch it then, but we certainly watched it as children. Do you remember watching it for the first time as a kid?
Sure do.
Oh, tell me about that experience.
Sure do. I borrowed it from my local library on VHS, on VHS tape, and yeah, my dad was like excited for me to see it, and I was just I loved it. I was enraptured by it. It was I was probably like around 10, give or take a couple of years, let's say somewhere between like 7 and 10 or around there. And it was just the perfect age for me to see that movie. And like, I was bought in, the stakes were high. The villains were there was enough. They were all interesting and they were teaming up, and it was, I was very, very in. I was not much of a Batman fan at this point. I had seen some episodes of the animated series. Yeah, I had seen some episodes of the animated series by this point, but not a lot. I hadn't seen any Batman movies yet. I don't think, but I had like some action figures and had seen the cartoons. And then I saw this movie and I was like, this is cool. This is fun. I love this. Yeah. That was my first exposure to it. But what do you remember?
I don't remember watching it for the first time. I know that my parents were also excited to have us watch it, but because they both watched it growing up themselves. My dad also was especially excited to have us watch it. I think, if I remember correctly. But we had it taped off of TV. And so there were no commercials. I don't know how that happened, but we had it taped off of TV with no commercials. Like, I don't know if people like it, but it didn't commercial break and skip. It was just clean. Like, did we have like a,
was
like,
it from
did
like
we have a
HBO or
premium
something?
channel? Right. No, I don't know. I have no idea. 'Cause this was early 90s. So I don't think so, but, late 80s, early 90s. But we didn't have, it didn't have the ending. And you were, I've told you the story.
You told me
I think
the story.
I've said it on, I think I've told it on air before, but it goes all the way through the whole movie until Batman brings back the like the United delegation, and they all talking in different voices, and then it basically stops like from there. It like cuts out, so you miss like the last 2 minutes of the movie, which granted is nothing but Batman and Robin going, let's go out the window.
Yeah.
We messed up. Yeah. Like, we actually boo-booed a lot, so let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
That's the end of the movie, which is hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that was it. And so I also loved it. I specifically remember thinking actually that the restaurant that all the villains hide out in, the octopus whatever.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So and so Miss Kitka goes and she like walks in and they're all like everyone's talking and smoking and everything like that. And I have a distinct memory of thinking like, oh, that's like the restaurant we go to at home, because it was always this was back in the day when you could smoke in restaurants.
Okay.
And like I remember, I don't know about you, but I remember pre cigarette segregation.
Okay.
Where like you could like there was like a room for smoking and a room for not
smoking
smoking.
section.
Right, Mrs. Doubtfire, smoking, like that whole thing. And so, yeah, sorry, I get to weave into the, but I remember like we used to go to this restaurant. It was called Yvette's, and it was like this, like it wasn't a dive. It was just an old diner.
Got it.
Like style restaurant, but everyone smoked in there. And so I remember like thinking like, oh, that's just like Yvette's. I know that sound. I know that smell. And so like weirdly, like that movie was very comforting because it was like I recognized parts of it. I grew up in a shipping city, and so or a fisherman city. So like all the docks and Batman running around at the like all that was very familiar to me.
Okay.
As like a 4-year-old, 5-year-old kid. So I just thought it was the best. And of course, like didn't know it was a joke. When we never know that you didn't know as it was a joke as a kid. It was deadly serious.
It was deadly serious. I had no idea it was a joke.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite segment of the movie that you watch and you're like, this is the good bit right here. This is my favorite.
It's like Act 1. Like the shark repellent, the helicopter, the some days you just can't get rid of a bomb, like that stuff is my those are my like all those gags. That stuff is primo for me. Those are the bits that I think of most fondly. Like the first like third of the movie or so is really.
Yeah, I think the bomb is the Act 2, I would say,
right.
though. Like that's pretty far into the movie at that point.
Fair enough. Maybe that one's an outlier, but definitely all the stuff at the beginning when they're figuring out who's behind this, right? Like when it just seems like random acts of terror are happening and Batman and Robin are trying to figure out who, but before they solve the riddles and figure out like, a canary with a machine gun and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think the first act of the movie is the strongest. I think once you get into the Miss Kitka romance part, like, when they're like in a carriage and Alfred's like driving the Batmobile, but he's wearing his little domino mask.
Yes.
And like, no one would recognize me. Like, that's where I think the movie really actually loses steam, and it's really hard to recover from that moment.
It does lose some energy.
It's not exactly breakneck because like the first 5 minutes is just like the like the Batcopter, just flying around LA or whatever. But the sorry, Gotham City. My apologies.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, but I do think that it does kind of lose steam at that point. But I think that it's the jokes are nonstop.
Yes,
from start to finish.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
Yep. And I think all of that, I think it's great between Commodore Schmidlab, not Commodore Schmidlab, but yeah, Commodore Schmidlab at the beginning, where he's just like the guy is outside, like splashing outside his room, like splashing with the flippers. This is great.
I want
great
to be
stuff.
Commodore Schmidlab for Halloween one year. I really, really do.
Do you want to be Commodore Schmidlab, or do you want to be the Penguin being Commodore Schmidlab?
Yeah, I probably want to be the Penguin being Commodore Schmidlab. Truth be told, I was a henchman last year. I bought from the the Bat Labels Twitter account.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
they have like an Etsy shop and they sell the henchman shirt. So henchman T-shirt and a black cap, and I was all set. I was a henchman.
That's great. That's great. I love that. Do you have? This is going to a segment of Frank. Do you have a favorite? You know, because I know that you love choosing things.
I do. I love favorites. I have lots of them.
We see this is because the budget was bigger than the television show. We see a lot more bat gadgetry.
Yes.
In this movie. So, do you have a favorite bat gadget? You can't count the vehicles because that question's coming. But,
okay.
You know, like between all of the different stuff that he has in his belt, like what's the thing that you love? I will also count stuff in the stuff in the Batcave.
In the Batcave. You know, I need to remind myself of some of them. I mean, there's like the bat. He's got like the bat. Okay, the bat shark repellent obviously is one. We've talked about that. He's got the.
He's got that magnetic disruptor thingy.
Yep.
He's got the bazooka.
You know what here's
the
what
bazooka that shoots rainbows or whatever.
Yeah. I love when he's looking for the bat shark repellent and there's like the whole like the array of other sprays,
manta ray repellent, and like
the anti-blast bat powder, and like I love all of that stuff. That's probably the funniest gag to me is like that smattering of things. There's obviously bat binoculars. I'm gonna go with that wall of sprays of repellent sprays.
The bat repellents. Yeah. No, I'm with you.
That's the funniest.
For some unknown reason, I really like the magnetic disruptor thingy when the torpedoes are getting launched at them and he's like twisting things. He's like, "Bear," when the torpedo goes in different directions.
Sure.
I just thought that was really cool as a kid. And I don't really know why, because it's just like probably like a piece of like 2x2 or something, like 1x1 that he's like holding in his hands with a little like screw and a knob. But I just thought that was so cool. Something so small, yet so powerful. What about vehicles? Because we get, obviously the Batmobile, which was in the show, the copter, the motorcycle, the boat. Like out of those four, what's your jam?
I mean, the Batmobile, like that Batmobile is the coolest. Like that is probably one of my favorite Batmobiles, maybe my favorite Batmobile ever. Like I love that car. I love that car. Yes, absolutely love that car. Always have. I was more excited to see that car at any of the shows cons we've been to where they had like the DeLorean and all these. I was more excited to see that Batmobile than any other Batmobile. Like I think it's the coolest. It's a classic older, old car. And I'm trying to remember. I already used my one look up to the do not forget thing, but I might. You
can use mine. It's okay.
Because I want to remember what car they modified to create that.
It's not a T-Bird.
No,
it's something cheaper than that.
Yeah, but it is an actual car that they modified and turned into the Batmobile. And it is, I think, okay, it's a 1955 Lincoln Futura concept car. So it was not a real car, but it was a Lincoln concept car from 1955. And then in 1966, they took it and turned it into the Batmobile. So that's
fantastic. Wow, Batman's driving an old car, 10 years old already.
Yeah.
Like, you're a millionaire. You're a Playboy millionaire.
Come on,
Bruce Wayne.
Have some respect, Bruce.
With your ascots. Have some respect. Yeah.
Your ascots and your ward.
You can fly. No. Yes, indeed. I think mine is actually the Bat Cycle.
Oh.
I love the Bat Cycle. Like, I loved the copter. The boat's cool. I've seen the boat in real life. It was at some con that I went to.
I was with you for that.
So
yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think it was Rhode Island.
I think it was Rhode Island.
I've gone to. Seeing the boat was very cool. But the cycle is my favorite, and I don't know if it's not necessarily because it's a motorcycle, but as a kid, I was fascinated by the sidecar because I had never seen a sidecar on a motorcycle before, and I was like, what an intriguing concept. But I just love the fins and the red, and it's like it just all works for me. Like it could be, like you could almost imagine that it can do like almost anything because it looks like it could fly, or it could anything like that. But I just love that, like when they like pull the Batmobile over and Commodore Schmidt Lab, aka the Penguin, gasses them, and they're like, "Oh no!" and they fall over, and he steals the Batmobile or whatever, and he drives away. And they drove to a spot where the Bat Cycle was, and I loved that. They were like, "Bam, new vehicle, let's do this." And then they go like, it works for me in the movie. It works for me. It works for me like when the sidecar like cuts out and like goes and it goes to the other side of the copter or whatever. All of that is so cool. And I remember an interview with Burt Ward where he was like, that thing was horrifying because I was jammed in with like my knees up here, and like the thing would tip and it would go in any kind of direction. So like when he like ejects and goes to the side, he's like easily could have died.
Yikes.
Easily the way that thing, he's like, there's no brakes, you just gotta like hope it slows down when you need it to. And like, but I just thought that was the best. Bee's knees, no question. In terms of villains, we get Catwoman, Penguin, Joker, Riddler. Were you drawn to one as a kid over other ones? Because this is Lee Merriweather, right? Because not Eartha Kitt. Julie Newmar was not available for the movie,
right?
So Lee Merriweather is Catwoman in the movie. My personal favorite Catwoman from '66, from that era. But anyway,
Lee Merriweather is your
yeah, probably because I saw the movie before I saw the show. So
she's mine as well. She's my favorite Catwoman, and she probably is my favorite of the villains in this movie. I would, as young as I was when I saw this, I think I had something of an awakening when I saw Miss Kitka. I was like, "What is? I want to be her friend. Why?
Yeah, right.
Why do I want to be her friend? I don't understand it, but I do."
Yep.
Yep. So that would probably be, but truthfully, like that, I do think she's the most interesting of the villains here. So yeah, that would is being my answer. What do you have a favorite among the villains?
Out of those, Penguin was my favorite out of these four. I just love Burgess Meredith's Penguin so much.
He's so great.
Like he's dastardly. He's actually intelligent. Whereas like the rest of them maybe aren't. Like Riddler is like insane. Like he's just doing his own thing in the corner, and they're barely contain the Riddler in here. And the Joker is weirdly curmudgeon-y. Like I always found Cesar Romero's Joker, like he laughs and stuff, but he's like always kind of in a bad mood.
Yeah,
where he's always like, yeah.
How old were you when you realized that they painted over Cesar Romero's mustache?
I was today years old.
Yes.
What?
Look at a picture.
No.
Really?
No, I know what you're
okay.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because it was his look. That
it
was
his
signature look.
So he wasn't going to shave it.
Yeah. I think I was in college, I think, when somebody was like, "Hey, did you know that like it painted over?" I don't think I had given it much thought.
Yeah,
until when I was a kid.
I don't know if I didn't notice it because I was watching it on a VHS, like
that's
crappy
resolution.
resolution.
We were watching it on crappy resolution, and you just didn't notice things like that, as they assumed you wouldn't.
True.
Back in '66, now you can notice everything from anything.
Right.
So
yeah. But it's that. I think that's hilarious. Frank Gorshin's Riddler is a very, very close second for me behind Catwoman.
Totally.
Such a talent. Like he was just all around talent. If you watch stuff from Frank Gorshin outside of Batman, but just he was such a comedic talent at the time.
He did a stand-up routine on the Ed Sullivan Show, the same episode that the Beatles premiered.
That's right. Yes, he did.
Yep.
Yes, he did. Yeah, good one there.
Gotcha.
Good one there.
I gotcha. He actually won an Emmy for playing the Riddler.
Right on. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's excellent. I appreciate all of them. My favorite continues to be Burgess Meredith's Penguin, even though the Penguin is not a Batman villain I'm innately drawn to. But in Batman '66, it's Burgess Meredith.
Right on.
He's my guy.
Right on. He's great. He's great. I actually, this is funny. I get Burgess Meredith and Lee Merriweather's names confused because I'm like, well, Meredith, no, but Meredith sounds like that. Just the names are so similar to me in my brain. They're not actually that similar, but they take up the same brain space, and so I have to stop and think sometimes of which one is the Penguin and which one is Catwoman.
I am totally with you.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add about Batman 66?
Just that. It was my first exposure to Adam West, right? And so it's just it will always have a special place in my heart because that is when I got turned on to Adam West as Batman. His whole take on Bruce Wayne, on Batman, and obviously the very, very special place that holds in culture even to this day. So that it will always be very special to me for that reason.
Nope, I'm totally with you. I think if you've never seen it, it's worth a watch for its moment in pop culture history,
and it's funny
because it's literally pop art brought to screen. Right? Don't watch it being like this is bad. Like the point is that it's bad, but it's not really bad. It's funny. Like it's one big joke. And that's the whole point. As kids, you're like, this is deadly serious.
Right. But it's satire. It's meant to be. The whole show, the movie and the series that followed were designed to be satire of the superhero genre, of the Silver Age comics. So look at it with that lens, and it is very funny. It's very self-referential, and it pokes fun at itself, at the genre a lot.
Yep. Absolutely.
So
and I think as you know, there's so much superhero content out there now, and so much of it is deadly serious. You can go back to Batman 66 and still it makes fun of the very things that are being made post its creation.
Yes.
So
right.
It is pretty wonderful that way. So I am always ready for it to be over when it's over though, because by the end you're like, man, it's a lot. It's a lot of joking.
It's a lot of joking, but it's only 80 minutes or 90 minutes. It's relatively short.
Yeah, it's not long.
Yeah, but I do get what you mean. That by the end you're like, okay, we've had our time together, and now it's time for us to part ways. Yeah.
Is there a joke in there that it's not? Some days you can't get rid of a bomb or shark repellent bat spray. Is there a joke in there that you love that doesn't get talked about a lot?
The porpoise one that I said before, the nobility of the almost human porpoise, and the whole Robin untangling the riddle about who's behind all this stuff, like a canary with a machine gun, a riddle in the form of a joke, the Joker, like all that whole bit. But the canary with the machine gun is just the most what? How did you get there?
I know. But that's the joke. That's the best. That's the joke. It's so good. I love that. I can't even always remember the joke, which is why I think I like it, because it keeps surprising me, is when their Batcopter gets shot out of the sky and they land on a bunch of rubber mats in the middle of the street, and Robin's like, "Oh, thank God these rubber mats were here, Batman.
Yes!
Otherwise we would have been goners."
But that's exactly the kind of poking fun at itself, right? Where it's just these ridiculous Deus ex machina things pop out of nowhere, and they poke fun at them and then move on.
Yep. Yeah. And it's all good. The tuba band music, like the marching band music, when Batman's trying to get rid of the bomb, gets stuck in my head more often than not. That's the one.
Oh yeah, I know the one.
That's the one. That's good stuff. Well, Frank, as always, thanks for being here. You can find us on beerwithgeeks.com and thoughtbubbleaudio.com to check out all the Thought Bubble Audio shows. If you like what we do, patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio to support the show, just as little as $1 a month. You can rate and review us on iTunes and find us all the places that podcasts can be found. Twitter at beerwithgeeks, Gmail at beerwithgeeks. Frank, is there any particular show or anything you would like to plug before we part ways?
I want to plug Academy Rewind, because you guys are doing amazing, covering some amazing films. You're right now the group of films that you've been covering decade after decade. You're in a really hot streak right now, so I'm really enjoying some classics you've been talking about.
Thank you. We are in a hot streak. Actually, there have been the Godfather episode is coming up soon. Lawrence of Arabia is on its way. To Kill a Mockingbird. There's some really great stuff coming out there. If you want to hear Palmer and I talk about it on Academy Rewind, Frank, I'll replug you. Save Me, the Smallville Anthology podcast. Frank is doing, to quote Kevin Smith, the Lord's work. In terms of a Smallville documentary series, going back to the beginning and taking a look at its formation, going all the way through to its finale over the course of a decade. It is truly primo content that you're pumping out there, like not like this schlack daisical thing that we do here on Be With Geeks, where we're like, what are we talking about? Who cares? Let's just turn the microphone on. But you're doing excellent podcasting on that show, so everyone should check that out.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank. That's my low key quote from You've Got Mail to wrap up this episode.
Nice.
Indeed. Well, thank you all, and until next time.
Cheers.